G'day folks, Steve from Vintage Restorations Australia here. In today's episode we're going to fit the indicators, or blinkers as we call them. We're going to fit the stop tail lights, or those pork pie lights at the back of the car. I'm also going to whip around and have a look at the brakes to do an assessment of what parts we need to order. I've got these Lucas lights, they're blinkers, they're going to go in here. I've just got to enlarge that hole just a fraction, just to get that boot in so I don't crush the boot. So what I'm using here is a little Dremel tool, and on the end of it's a little sandpapery disc. It's actually about I don't know, maybe a 60 grit, 80 grit, something like that. Really good for just enlarging holes and doing that kind of stuff. So it basically just removes a bit of material and in a kind of controlled manner. And here's another one of those blinkery lights, all in nice wax paper. It's very old school, I like it. So you can see there we've got to go a little bit further. Go in again. That one's cactus, it's worn out now, so we just whip it off and replace it. Pretty straightforward little tool. I think every workshop should have a Dremel. That's just about there. I'd go as far as saying it's all right. So I finally got the indicators, or the blinkers, depending where you are in the world, from the UK. You'll notice there's two different types. These are the Lucas, the good quality Lucas that we've used on the front. They've got a boot at the back where they go through the bodywork and attach. This is fine on the front because these have been previously fitted and there's a hole for that in the bodywork. On the back, it doesn't have a hole, and I didn't want to put a new one. The aim is to try and keep this as we kind of found it. So what I did was I found these. These came from Holden in the UK. That's Holden, the family name, not Holden the car. They're a kind of cheap knockoff, but they are flat mounted. So all I'm going to do is get rid of this plastic cover and replace it with a nice glass one. Boom, it matches the front. So these things can be a little tricky to get in sometimes. You've just got to go in an angle. I use this little dentist tool that I got from my dentist, because I only use them once. And you basically just got to pull that little trim over the top, the little rubber. It's just a pressure fit. Boom. It's in. And this one goes over the top. These are a little harder to get in usually. There we go, very nice. See if it works. There you go, rear blinker, that's a big thing. That's the sound of blinkers working. Very nice. I was going to strip these down, probably put some new wires in them, Just check them. This is basically as found. So I'm just going to strip them down, undo those couple of screws. Something just fell out inside. Not a good sign. These are very expensive lights if you've got to find them. Worth their weight in gold, literally. Actually, probably more than gold. Rubber seal doesn't look too bad. Rubber boot's a little bit dodgy. We'll try to keep that in good nick. You can see these wires have perished and they're a little bit questionable, so I'm going to strip that, solder on a new piece of wire, and then get a bit of heat shrink onto it, and be like a new one. And I think that's the only problem with that light. Oh, that looks a bit special. Inches. I've removed the hub from that, and the pads actually just dropped out, so they weren't doing much. Oh. Some obvious bits missing from here, i.e. all of the brakes seem to be gone. There you go, tuck the hose up there, crimped it off. Obviously had a problem in the bush or something, couldn't fix it, pulled it off, repaired that, kept going with rear brakes, but anyway, got to replace all that anyway, and while we've got it off we'll clean up all of this, give it a bit of a corrosion inhibit. This brake fluid reservoir looks a little bit like it needs a clean up. What have we got there? Oh, all the way around. Oops, there you go, it's moving. I'm going to pop it out, give it a clean up, or at least have a look at it, make sure it's okay. Rebuild all the brakes on this, the whole system, I think. Sort of patching them up won't do, especially given that I'm going to drive this thing a lot. Feels a little bit like that's just turning. Some glasses and a light would help. Had a bit of a time getting that out. In the end I had to cut that bolt and then snip the line to get it out. This wouldn't budge for love nor money, it's kind of seized on there. Looks pretty rough on the outside, but it's actually in good condition. The inside of it's actually pretty good. And they're about $130, $140 to buy new. If I order them from the UK, they might take 10 weeks. We want it on the road before I could possibly get that. So we'll restore that one and put that back in with brand new brake lines and all that kit and caboodle. Bit less rusty, give it a bit of the old tannic acid, Might even tonk a few dings out of it. So having had a good look at that, on the rear we've just got to put a kit through the slave cylinder and put new pads on, maybe replace the springs. On the front we've got to replace pretty much everything. The slaves pads, obviously on the other side there, it's completely missing, so we're starting from scratch on that side. The master cylinder, we'll probably just put a kit through it because they're expensive to buy, so we'll put a kit through it of seals and things, and that obviously the little reservoir tin, we'll just get that cleaned up and put that back in. We're going to replace all the hoses. So I had a look at Series 1 shop down in Victoria. They sell a whole kit for these. It's about $600 for the entire kit to do everything that we just talked about. So that's ordered, it's on its way, and when it gets here we'll be getting the brakes done, and that's kind of getting pretty close to being on the road. The only other thing I really have to do is these bushes here. They need, the steering bushes, they need replacing. But apart from that, she's getting there. We're getting very close to having it on the road. Anyway, before we go, I'd just like a shout out to Oliver Kendall and Michael Crocombe, who both signed on as workshop manager level patrons this week. Thanks guys, we really appreciate your contribution. It really helps us get a lot done in the workshop. There you are, up on the workshop wall of fame, under lights and everything. So thank you very much for your continued support. Also, George Porteous signed on as a restorer level patron. Thanks George, we appreciate that. Hope you're enjoying the behind the scenes content that we put up there on Patreon. So I guess that's it for this week. If you haven't subscribed, we'd love you to. Hit the like button because that helps us get our videos out there and build our viewership. And hopefully make this a successful long-term channel because we love doing it. So till next episode, take care of yourselves and look after each other. See ya.
Barker has learnt the first lesson of being a good workshop dog. Find the sunny spot outside where you can sleep. Haven't you? Oi, wake up. Lazy bones.